Yo, we are back in BMX Streets, and for this video I wanted to cover all my settings that I currently have in the game. There's a few different things that you can adjust in this settings menu when you press the, I think it's the menu button? Basically the one that's opposite the start button, I don't know what it's called anymore. So just going from top to bottom, audio stuff, that's for your own individual tastes. UI, I always have the trick display off. Menu render, I haven't really touched any of that stuff. Control haptics on. More graphic settings, etc. When it comes to slow motion, I prefer to have it off. I don't really ever like using it. I know like the old potato tends to use it sometimes. It's not really for me, so I just leave it off. Now the important stuff is here. When it comes to physics, I have this on 1.1. It defaults to 1.0, which if you use row mod, or if you were used to it from before, I think it's 12.5, which would make it 13.5 now. I'm not sure if that's correct. Still, for the current physics menu, 1.1 is all you need. Flip axis, this has two settings, one is local, one is tangent. This is actually fairly important, because if we go over here, it's probably the best place to show it off. It allows you to do some of those sort of tricks. It's kind of hard to explain what it's doing exactly. It kind of auto-completes a lot of flip things. I'm terrible at flares, but yeah, you'll notice it kind of spun me around. That's the setting you want on if you kind of want to do a lot of those sort of tricks. Okay, so I switched it to local, and it's actually doing a very similar thing. Like, it's actually completing the flips. So I'm not entirely sure if that's working, making any difference. Try again. Yeah, like that's actually like correcting things the same as tangent. So maybe give both a try, see which works for you. There may be a difference, or maybe somebody in the comments can mention what's actually going on with that. Because previously it was kind of awful for doing flares or any kind of flip and a spin sort of trick. I keep screwing that up every time. So yeah, that one might have to be a bit of a work in progress. When it comes to flip multiplier, 1.1, spin multiplier 1.1, jump multiplier I keep that the same because I don't want to be flying all over the place. Pump as well, you already get tons of speed. Mani mode auto, nosy mode auto. I've tried these on manual before, but they're very sensitive, especially if you're doing really like techie stuff that uses lots of manuals. It can kind of get in the way a bit because it will just throw you off. Skill, I think this is a meme, honestly. I don't know if it actually makes any difference. I set it to 100% and it's never really been an issue. And for vert assist, we want rotation assist on, especially if you're doing park stuff, because this is what basically sticks you to transition. Especially if you're going around corners, it will kind of help hone you in a little bit. So that previous setting is for doing flips while you're in the air. This is more transition related. You'll notice I've been guided a little bit, which is actually quite helpful. And I've also noticed for a lot of the street stuff I do, it's not really getting in the way so much anymore compared to what it used to. So leaving rotation assist on with correction strength at 5 is probably the best bet. So when it comes to ground assist, I've found this actually works pretty well right now. Again, doesn't get in the way too much, but it does help you hone in for like Smiths, feebles, things like that. They used to be a pain. Now you're fine, you pretty reliably get into them, so I definitely recommend keeping it on. If you do have any trouble with any super technical things where you're getting thrown all over the place, then turn it off. But generally you want it on. Stance is goofy, I actually prefer regular, but at one point only goofy stance was in the game, and I kind of got used to doing everything in that direction, so I've just stuck with it since. Tricking, always fire. You could leave it on, but sometimes it can get in the way with some tricks, like it triggers when you don't want it to. But it does allow you to do some very unique tricks. So it can be fun to play around with a bit. Maybe just leave it on temporarily to try an idea and then turn it off again afterwards. Master speed, 1.1. I think that's about the right pace of having whips get around fairly quick without looking too crazy. Same for most tricks. One or two tricks will look a little bit weird. I think turn downs. Is it turn downs? They're quite quick. Yeah, like that. But again, that's down to taste, just play around with it a bit. Fakie slider, I don't know why that's an option actually. I guess some people just didn't like having this. Actually, thinking about it, does it actually work a bit better now? It used to be really twitchy and it'd just throw you off. But you do need to control it a little bit. Now, camera settings, it's probably best to just take a screenshot and try and copy this later on. I've bumped up the FOV a little bit fisheye. I've made everything a bit closer to try and keep it, I don't know, kind of tight feeling all the time. Other settings, I did these a little while ago. Yaw curve ease in is the most important, I think, because there was a period where the game was really, it's really hard to describe, but when you turned, the camera had a bit of a delay to it. It kind of made it nauseating. Right now, I think it's a good balance of being close to get a good view of what's going on, but not too close. It's just sort of a good balance overall. It's actually different from that first video I did on this update. So this is kind of an updated one. It's a little bit closer. Posture, honestly, I don't really know if that makes a lot of difference. If you really, really want to change the way your rider looks for whatever reason, or you want to like make something really crazy looking, you could probably adjust a few of these. But for the most part, you don't need to touch them. Ragdoll physics as well. I haven't really touched these. There's the web sling thing, which like lets you fly around the map and boom. But honestly, I don't actually touch these at all. Now for a brief mention when it comes to mods, if you haven't actually installed mods at all and you're on PC, you want to go to the Evolution Discord server, go to ST script mods, and then at the very top of that channel, it tells you how to install Melon Loader and do that whole process to get it into the game. Basically all the instructions, everything you need is here. From there, if you go all the way to the bottom, the current version of RoMod that you need to use is 2.0.8. If it's anything earlier than that, it can cause crashes and some other issues, so definitely be careful. And if you're wondering, you press Ctrl and N to bring up the menu, and you'll notice at the top it says 2.0.8. And then within here, you've also got a bunch of different settings that you can adjust. Actually, in my case, I never really touch a lot of this stuff. I use it for like the bike materials, like I've got a custom frame and a few things like that. Also character related stuff. Otherwise, you don't really need to do a lot in this. You can play around with other things as well. Actually, I'll add a little bit. When you put in RoMod, sometimes it can like change the seat a little bit. Use this seat tilt option here. That should get it flat again. Seat height. Bar rotation, I've never really had to change. Peg length I did make a little bit longer once, but now it's back to the default. Just play around with it and see what works. Actually, right now the biggest thing with the RoMod is the ability to do a trick bag and like replace tricks with other tricks. You can either deactivate tricks you don't want, or you can replace them with something else. So as an example, this one right here used to be a one-hander. Now I've changed it to T-bug left, which also goes alongside the diagonal. I always had trouble with diagonals for some reason, and I ended up occasionally doing one-handers by mistake. So now, by doing this, it's probably going to be embarrassing if I don't get it right. So just to show on the right stick, all I have to do is left now instead of the diagonal. You will need to rotate the stick to do the fully tweaked version. But yeah, now T-bugs are way easier to do. At least for me. I don't know if anybody else had that problem. Ah, yeah. I replaced the Suicide No-Hander with a turn down as well. Similar issue. I always had problems getting it to activate properly, so setting it to down actually makes it way easier. And it's a trick I use way more than the Suicide No-Hander. So just try and blast off something. Yeah, nice and easy. It may also be worth doing it with some of these more complicated tricks that are they at the bottom or at the top? I think they're at the top. These LBRT tricks, like the Twix and some more common ones, you may actually want to just change those to replace some of the more basic tricks so you can do them a bit easier. Yeah, one more minor thing which I'm not sure everybody's aware of. Hang fives are in the game. You press LB, right stick up, there you go. There's also a pedal hang five as well, which I know you may have a use for. Okay, I was going to try to do a T-bug stall, but it wasn't working well. Can't really think of anything else to bring up right now. If you do have any other questions, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to answer everything. I've noticed I've been getting quite a lot of comments overall, and YouTube doesn't do a very good job of actually informing me about them. So if I do miss it, maybe just ask again. I'll try and get around to everything as much as I can. When it comes to some of the modding issues, you want to go to the Volution Discord. They'll help you out for the most part. Because I know some people just struggle getting that stuff to work, even with the instructions there. Aside from that though, not really much else to say. I plan on doing more videos on all the new sections that are in the game. Like, I want to do a proper video on this, trying to find some new lines around the park. There's the T-Bogs working, and the turndowns. Yeah, the trick bag is a big addition. It's not an official thing in the game, so Xbox players will kind of be... Well, hopefully the diagonals work pretty good for you. That's pretty much everything I wanted to cover for this video. May just screw around a little bit. What happened? Wait. Let's see what happened at the time of death. Oh, still going. But we don't... what? Okay, so this may be the game just forcing me to quit. So we'll leave it there, I think. Plenty more to come. I'll see you in the next video.